Hey, a warm welcome on this cold day to all of you. This is the 7th webinar in our Changemakers series. Today, our focus shifts to employee engagement. So, I'm Joseph Meiberg, I'm owner and founder of the Time Factory. And I believe that leaders model ongoing learning. Our vision at the Time Factory reflects how we want to inspire action. Our purpose is to create an army of change makers to enable everyone to prosper. Just to pick up what is happening in employee engagement, see what the trends are. 80% of the respondents in this McKinsey poll felt that the pandemic impacted them materially and that they are focusing on the basic needs of safety and security. No surprise there. What is interesting though, is that there are widely divergent impacts on employee engagement because some employees are thriving and others are suffering. And what this means is we need to have the ability to segment employees, basically similar to customer segmentation, and that you'll have to adapt your approach to different groups. There are 3 themes coming to the fore as far as employee engagement is concerned, coming out of this research. Trusting relationships, social cohesion, and individual purpose. Well, I don't have to tell you this, but these issues are the same ones or the same drivers that impact heavily on depression. So there's quite a challenge coming up to manage employee wellness in the next couple of months. What to say, not even to think about employee engagement.
So what do we mean with employee engagement, and what does an engaged employee look like? Well, employee engagement refers to the extent to which employees feel enthusiastic and passionate about their work and their job, and that extent to which they are committed to the employer and the workplace. So when we talk about engaged employees, we are talking about people who will go the extra mile and also bring discretionary effort to the workplace. For me, when I think about employee engagement, I think about it in terms of 2 levels, and you need to meet 2 levels for an employee to be engaged. First, there's the heart level. That is where employees bring their passion, their motivation, and their enthusiasm. And then there's also the mind level, the intellectual level, where people bring their intellectual ability, their problem-solving ability, and the creativity to the workplace. So an engaged employee is actually engaged on a heart level and a mind level. And that's why we can say that when people are sometimes motivated, they can still be disengaged because they bring their hearts to the workplace, but they don't necessarily bring their minds to the workplace. We've seen it in workplaces where people enjoy the social aspect of the workplace, but they contribute very little to the job, or they do not necessarily find their job interesting enough, or they don't have a passion for their job. So they're still disengaged. They're at least disengaged on one level. We also see another group of employees that bring their intellect to the workplace, knowledge workers. Intellectually, they're engaging with the workplace and the employer, but they're emotionally not engaged. So it's possible then to be disengaged on one level, like either mind level or a heart level. So what is a disengaged employee? Well, a disengaged employee is actually somebody that's unhappy and that is detached from the job or the employer. So either emotionally, which is the heart level, or intellectually, which is the mind level. These are typically our employees who will be looking for another job and another job opportunity. If you listen very carefully, you will often find that these employees will make hints or sarcastic comments about their workplace or the job. So why do we really care about employee engagement? Well, if you look at the surveys that have been conducted over many years by various companies in many countries, we can see a very strong correlation between employee engagement and the company's performance and profitability. Also, engaged employees are more productive and they give more output in the workplace. There's also a correlation between your employee engagement and your employee retention. And we know that the experts say that it costs you at least a year's salary to replace one employee. So if an employee is earning a salary of 5,000 Rand a month, it can cost you 60,000 Rand just to replace that one employee. I also read an article in which it was stated that the engagement level for South Africa was only 9% for 2019. So that is prior to COVID-19. So 91% of the employees in South Africa were disengaged in 2019. There's a huge difference between engaged employees and disengaged employees. With disengaged employees, we actually pay them for their time because they put in time. But with engaged employees, they put in effort and we pay them for that effort, especially the discretionary effort that they bring to the workplace. So what will typically influence employee engagement? Well, we've got the internal influences and external influences. So if you look at this picture, that refers to the organization. What is happening within the organization that will influence employee engagement. And then obviously we have a macro extent, like for example, what is happening on a national basis or global. So if there's a recession or there's a COVID-19 situation, will that impact employee engagement? And yes, it might. But what the research shows is that your internal engagement drivers have a much more greater impact than your external influence on employee engagement. So even if you have a pandemic like COVID-19 and it influences initially your employee engagement, you can turn that around by focusing on your internal engagement drivers.